Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course. We are talking again about the Lemuria Awakening Retreat live in Mount Shasta with a live stream. And we are here with Meg Benedicte, who's going to be talking about the Lemurian and Sirian Stargate. Hi, Meg. Welcome.
Hi, Loren. It's great to see you again. Great to connect.
Always great to connect. Let's talk about Lemuria and Mount Shasta. You actually have lived there and you've done a lot of light work there. Tell us about your background. I mean, you were called there and you're not there now. You're still close to it and you do activations there. But what was your call to Mount Shasta?
All right. Let's see, where do I begin? When I had my spiritual awakening, so this was in January 1994. So I came in as a angelic soul walk-in for this whole event we're experiencing now. And as I started to work with Archangel Metatron and his technique using the quantum vortex, it was such a great tool because it's basically time jumping. You know, you can use it to go back in time or into the future. And so I'm in this vortex 24/7, moving around, looking at everything I'm being pointed to. So as I was really just kind of getting my bearings in the new incarnation, and I was living in Los Angeles, and I was doing a lot of kind of trance meditating and time jumping. And so one of the first things that I got shown was I would get pulled to two places. I would get pulled to the Sirian Council because my divine masculine counterpart was on the council. And so in a way, he was acting kind of like a grounding for me because I was really disoriented when I first came in. So I was connecting directly with the Sirian Council, basically kind of just sitting on the conference table and listening to what's going on. And the second thing is I kept getting pulled to Lemuria, and I had I spent some time there as well. And one of the first strong visions that came to me in the Lemurian timeline was, and it was at the time I think of where it was actually ending. You know, it was in a way, the completion of the Lemurian heyday. And I saw my soul place my soul crystal in the mountain. And I didn't even know where Mount Shasta was at the time in the 90s. I was just hearing your soul crystal. I'm placing it right here. It's in the mountain for you when you're ready. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. And then I went off, and did what I had to do in my human life. But that stuck with me because that was 94 to 2012. That's almost 20 years, right? Just kind of knowing in the background, my soul crystal's in Mount Shasta. Then since and during those 20 years, would go and spend a lot of time in the Lemurian timeline. So that's where I really first started getting a lot of information of just my own personal involvement in the Lemurian civilization, Lemurian timeline. Then in 2012, this is where everything started to happen, of course, in 2012. I get invited, I'm still in LA, I get invited to come up to lead a galactic activation the day of the full eclipse that happened May 10th, 2012. It was directly over Mount Shasta. Okay, so this is like very rare. And it was being run as a Mayan, you know, how that was really very, you know, popular that year. And John Callahan, who is the Mayan expert, was one of the headliners. And so it's a Mayan calendar event. And the timing of it is lining right up with that eclipse. And then we had from San Francisco, we had, you know, the whole astronomy delegate, you know, with all the big, you know, microscope, you know, it's just the telescopes, you know, it was a big event. It was really actually quite fun. And it was the first time I went to Mount Shasta. I'd never been there before. So, you know, packed up my assistants and we drove the whole way, you know, it's a long 10-hour drive from LA and drive up there. And I felt like I just stepped into heaven when I got onto the mountain. It was really, in a way, connecting and lighting up a lot of my memories from being there as Lemuria. And so I was definitely receiving activations when I got onto the mountain. It was already starting to happen. And I can even remember, I think we were going into town to get lunch. The whole event was happening at the Mount Shasta Resort, which of course is where you're having your event, which is, I've loved events there as well. It's a beautiful place. And I remember us going into lunch and out of my mouth goes, I could see myself living here. And I'm thinking, who just said that? Are you crazy? And then by the time I get home, driving back and getting home after the event, it was pretty immediate. I realized, oh, damn, my soul is still on the mountain and my life in LA just ended. And it was, so when we could say, you know, I had a calling to go up there, I think it was like a wrenching to go up there. I had no plans ever to leave LA or move there. I built my whole business in LA, right? You know, so it was like, oh my goodness, I have to unlock and leave LA and move up to Mount Shasta. So that's actually how I got up there in 2012.
Really, calling of the Lemurian heart. Yes, like your Lemurian DNA was activating and calling you there.
Yep.
And so here we are now, and it's very interesting how many people feel the magic of Mount Shasta. Stepping into the mountain, there's energy that people have. Sometimes people are elevated by it. Sometimes they get physically ill, or there's a purging. What do you think's going on there? Why does that happen?
Okay. Well, one is there is a powerful vortex spinning at that mountain. So it can be upsetting to your body, you know, to your system. I found I actually had to get onto the I-5 and go drive out of the mountains vortex maybe like once a month because I was blowing out. You know, it was just like, whoa, I can't even feel my feet on the ground. And I would be on that mountain working all the time. So it wasn't like I wasn't doing grounding. That vortex is strong and powerful, and it really can very quickly expand you. And so if you're not used to that, and I'm a vortex healer, and I was even feeling it, it's very strong. So that would be one of the first things you might notice when you get onto the mountain. Also, it's 14,000 feet. I mean, you're going to have altitude sickness. Everybody should know, I bring altitude herbs, you know, you can get them at the health food store, but you are going to be feeling the altitude for sure. The town itself is about, I think, 3,400, 3,500, something like that. But when you drive up to the top of the mountain, you're up to about 8,000 already. So you're getting up there. So you might feel that as well. But there is such a powerful frequency pulsing out of it, because we have to remember Lemuria, it was influenced by the Sirians. And so it was a very advanced civilization of crystal technology. And so I'm being a guardian angel, I'm a grid worker and a gatekeeper. So this is just comes naturally to me. And so I did it the whole time I was there. I was actually living on the mountain 5 years, 2012 to 2017. And I was doing extensive work in the grid. And when I would get up to the top of the mountain, as far as you can drive and get into Panther's Meadow, there is actually a physical portal there. And I would go into that all the time. So that really accelerated my light body activation. It was pretty intense. But once I got into that mountain's portal, and because my soul put my soul crystal there, that's the portal I have been going in and out of the earth plane the entire time I've ever been here on Gaia. So that's my home portal. Others may, have elsewhere. That's fine. We all kind of have our entry gate, into the earth plane. That's my entry gate. And I would spend time in that gateway. And this is, of course, in 2012. So this is so long ago. But when I would get into that gateway, this is in the 3D earth plane, Mount Shasta is the root chakra. So it was really congested, and there's a lot of demonic interference there. Because if you're going to control the planet, you want control of the root chakra. That's where everything grounds, right? That's where everything takes hold. That's the starting point. And it was a mess. And I think that's partly why quite a few wayshowers were called there to live there and work there. So I would call more of my soul work, is to get on the mountain and to start to work on clearing. And because I'm part of the angelic realm, it was really working with the archangels, especially Michael, Metatron, and Melchizedek, to get that portal cleaned up, opened up. So you can have both hitting you. You could, especially in the past, you could have experienced both the power of that crystalline light grid in the portal that is the original gateway of Lemuria. And at the same time, you could also be experiencing the interference there. And so people, the whole time I lived there, it was just, astral attacks the whole time because they were trying to stop the work we were doing. It now is a beautiful portal. So just this, we were talking about the past, the history there. Now it's the new earth portal. It's where I had to be to start anchoring in and grounding in the new earth hologram as the ascending earth. So it's, we talk about, as you are, Loren, helping people understand what this new earth is, but it is in a way a rebirthing, like a new Lemuria, but it's not where we're going back in time and just replicating it. We're connecting into the original crystalline Lemurian template there in Mount Shasta, but then we have all the knowledge, right, since then to upgrade it as well. So it is a new Lemuria, but it is like a spanking brand new, shiny, illuminated Lemuria, new earth, based on all that we've learned since then.
That is why people, when they hear the call to go to Mount Shasta, they know they have to go. Yeah. And there are amazing experiences of the people who go, from whether they feel star beings or they feel the energy vortex. It's different for everyone, but it really is quite amazing. How has Mount Shasta shifted since 2012? Or what is it like? I mean, is there a time period that we can put our finger on? The demonic energy, you said it's crystal clear. It's now for new earth. Has that been cleared out and moved out?
Yeah, let's see, it probably was in 2016 when I heard your work is done in that portal. Like it worked, it took. And so that's like 6 years and that's, I think, where we started to really see the new earth shift from being kind of a concept or a vision, or a goal, it began to be very real. And because now it's fully integrated into the crystal grid. And then we had the bifurcation of the old timeline and the newer timeline happen on December 12th, 2019. So it's been gradually improving and solidifying and becoming very real, very tangible for everyone to kind of bridge into, right? We're leaving the old power structure, we're leaving the old control matrix, and we're really starting to make the new Earth timeline be our home foundation, our home base, and our true reality around us, right? In the quantum field. So it's been improving since then. And as far as the town, though, the town's a little funky, you know, if you haven't been there, it's a lot of mountain people. It's a lot, you know, these are not spiritual people. They don't even like all of us coming there. Okay. So that's where you have a weird bit of that kind of old 3D reality, and then you have the new Earth. We see it there playing out. We have kind of the old world and the new world literally side by side in that village. And it's a very small town. It's only about 3,000 people. It's you know, drive by and blink, it's gone. Like, it's small, but we have, in a way, that strange kind of dichotomy playing out there. Being that I'm from LA, it was way too small for me. So I knew I'm like, there's nothing happening there. Right? I'm like, where are the restaurants?
The lights turn out at 8 p.m.
Yeah, it does. And I would, like, in LA, I'd be doing my grocery shopping at 11, you know, at night after finishing work, right? And it's like snooze town, man. There's nobody on the road after 5 p.m. So it's a small little mountain town. And so I just let people know that when you come, you're coming for the mountain. You're not coming for the town. Great crystal shops, though, but yeah, you're coming for the mountain. You're getting into that sacred space. You get up on to Mount Panther's Meadow, or you go to Ascension Rock, or you go to the lake, you know, and there's the gorgeous mountain. Like, it, heart chakra open, you know, it's like transformative. The energies there are really, in a way, the opening to this new Lemuria. And that's where I feel so many people get called. I had a healing center there for 4 years, and so many people, I mean, almost all my customers were not from the town. You know, it was all who had kind of a spiritual quest, and they had that calling, and they needed to get on the mountain, and they come, you know, they leave different, right? Because all of the activations have happened for them.
Very interesting. It is one giant activation. Yes. So as we think about the Telosians, or the beings that are there, or even the starships that are there, can you talk about what is going on? Have you experienced the Telosians? Have you felt them? And then the starships, I mean, you can see them everywhere.
Yeah, you really see the.
I mean, they're by the lenticular clouds or other sightings. Have you seen or experienced any of that?
Yeah, when I first got there, it was in 2012, and I was driving back up from Redding. So I was, you know, in California, in the flats, and I'm starting to come towards where you begin to, you know, do the switchbacks. You're coming up the mountain. So I had the mountain in front of me, but I was still, you know, in the farm area, and but I was looking right at the mountain, and I see this massive blast of light shoot right down into the mountain, and I'm like, oh, someone's using the portal. So those ships are using that's an entry gate. It is like, just as I use it as an entry gate. It is an entry gate for you know, interstellar type of visiting, and typically they will cloak themselves in the ventricular clouds. But I've had one. It was fascinating. I was actually going to do a online presentation while I was living there, and I noticed it was over the mountain, but it came over. Okay, so you have to understand how bizarre it is to watch, right? because we're in a slowly, gradually rotating planet, right? So the clouds slowly move, right? You know, but no, this one is moving beyond the normal rotation, right? And it comes over my house, and I'm like, oh, I have to run out and take a picture of this. So I go out, take the picture. It hangs over the house the entire time I'm doing the show, and then as soon as I finish the show, it leaves. So I was like, okay, that was weird and unusual, but I could feel the like the kind of the cosmic support, while, because of course I'm talking about the Mount Shasta, right? And I'm teaching, and you know, and I did a full activation during the event. So I have always felt their presence. I've always felt the, you know, kind of the angelic and the star being support the whole time. And you will see the ships move around beyond what is norm of you know, a cloud formation moving. Now, granted, because the mountain's portal is that vortex is so powerful, that's why we in a way they're taking advantage of and creating the lenticular cloud formation with the vortex spiral to move around the area. So yeah, you can see them come in and out. You can see them move around. When I first got there in 2012, I was like, okay, I have to get up to the mountain. I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know what that's all about. So I had a few friends who had come in from LA, and we, you know, got in the car, and I'm like, all right, this is an adventure. I don't know where we're going. We're just going to go up to the top of the mountain. So we drive up. It's about 20, 30 minutes to get up to where the road ends up at the top. It's called Ski Bowl. It used to actually be a ski resort. You know, that's all been taken down because they were having avalanches. But the road's still there. So at park, we walk into, and we went into Lower Panther. So there's both Lower and Upper Panther. We went to Lower Panther's meadow, found a little spot, sat down, connected to Metatron. I opened up the quantum vortex around us, and we were just kind of attuning. This was my first time getting on that sacred site. It's a very sacred indigenous site as well, and just attuning into the energies there. And after a while, I was getting guided, and we were doing different activations as we're literally kind of sitting right onto the land. After a while, I get this impulse to, my eyes have been closed the whole time, right? Impulse to open my eyes. And I look, and the tree line we're in the meadow, right? So the tree line is circling around the meadow. And I open my eyes, and I look up to the tree line, and this massive, really tall being, all dressed in white, steps out of the tree line. And I'm like, oh my God, who's this, right? And everyone else is still in trance. Their eyes are closed, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm the only one seeing this. So I look, and I feel him telepathically talk to me to welcome me to the mountain, and I watch the trees like go like this. I was like, okay, this is so bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. But I opened my heart, felt the connection to him. Like it just felt like a welcoming, because of the soul work I was going to do there for the next 5 years. It's like, you're going to help clean this place up. So it's like this loving presence and welcoming. And then he just stepped back into the tree line and disappeared. And that's been my contact point with that community. I think because I work so closely with the archangels, that is really where my focus has been when I go up there and work. It hasn't been too much into a fifth dimensional community. I'm just going to say that. I know that was a wonderful welcome, and it really touched my heart, but it wasn't where I needed to do work with them. It was more of working with the archangels and cleaning up that portal.
Wow, that is very, very cool. That is so cool, that story. And as everyone shares those stories, it just makes it more real for the other people who have had stories, or even, you know, reading about it. Like
Right.
Ricardo Gonzalez, and Paula Harris, they share a story, and that was in 2016, around that time.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar with that or if listeners and viewers are familiar with Ricardo Gonzalez, but he actually was from Peru. He's from Peru, and he takes groups to Mount Shasta. And there was a similar experience, but they called it, there was it begins with a V. Anyhow, it was like a cloud, a haze, and
Oh,
a person from a ship came down.
oh, wow.
So that's interesting. Did you see any, it was just trees then, and you said did the trees like seem to bow?
Yeah, they just bowed and then came back up. We did an eye lock, like hello, and then he receded back.
And you heard him telepathically or you felt him?
Yeah.
Did you hear a voice at all?
Yeah, I heard him definitely welcome me there. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. So these are some of the experiences that people can have when they were there. And another thing to be mindful of is that you were meditating.
That's true. It was there, we were alone, like we didn't have all the tourists around us, because it's very popular. So I would try to time my visits not, during, like high weekend touristy times, if you can possibly get there where it's quieter. I think I was there in September, so it was after the big summer, I think it was Labor Day. Yeah, it was after the big summer rush up to the mountain. And so it was really a very kind of private moment without all the, brouhaha going on the mountain. And that's probably what had to be set up so that we could really connect deeply to that presence there. And also, and we had done some, I probably guess we were meditating for at least a half an hour. So we're really kind of immersing into the Lemurian crystalline grid. Like everything is held there in the land. It's still, the memory of it is still active there. It's still alive. And so really getting onto the land and getting into the energy of it and connecting to it. And because we were up at Panther, we're up at the gate, right? We're up at the gateway, we're up at the portal. So that is where you can probably get the most benefit of kind of that interstellar type of communication going.
Very, very cool. We are excited, truly very excited. In the Mount Shasta Lemuria Awakening Retreat, you will be making a presentation, and it's going to be on the Lemurian Sirian Stargate. This is the portal that you were talking about.
Yes.
We're not going to steal any of that thunder right now, but can you tell us a little bit about that Lemurian Sirian Stargate and how Mount Shasta is connected to other areas of the world?
Oh, yes. Okay, so what I was seeing when I would go into these like time jumps is the Sirian influence into Lemuria. And it's so fascinating because when I would look at the original Lemurian beings, they weren't as humanoid as we are. They looked in a way like standing dolphins, and I would call them the blue Gumbies. I didn't know what they were, but they were definitely not as you and I look right now. and so they had the Sirian kind of like epigenetics in them as well, right? And they were telepathic and they would communicate through the crystalline light network, light grid work. So even though we would be focusing more on like the Lemurian timeline, just to know there is this Sirian connection. So I'm going to talk about that more in the event. And I will lead an activation where we will connect to that portal. We will connect to that gateway, and we'll be able to, in a way, bridge space-time and connect to, the Sirian influence, connect to the original Lemurian civilization, and then also connect to this new Earth we're birthing. So we'll do, because we'll be in the quantum vortex, we can access, we're not limited to linear time, so we can access all these different kind of space-time coordinates, and then we'll be the weavers, right? This is part of the work I did there on the mountain all those years. We're weaving in the best of everything, right? The best of the Sirian, the best of the Lemurian, and then the best of what we're bringing now with our ascension templates activating. So we're just going to start to, so we'll spend probably a good 30 minutes or so doing that activation in the conference. Now, when you kind of think of, okay, so you kind of know your own chakra channel, that root chakra, that is what grounds you into the earth plane. So that's working again as well at Mount Shasta. It's the root chakra. So it's grounding in the ascension and the new earth civilization at that portal, at that mountain. So keep that in mind when you're there, especially if you have a calling, if you feel like, okay, I'm actually part of the builders of this new earth. Okay, get yourself on that mountain. That's what you want to do. You're helping, literally, your energetics is helping ground it in for the rest of the world. So this is how we are able to do a lot of our kind of higher calling, right? Our soul work, when we get into that kind of powerful portal, that sacred space. And then just like our root chakra is connecting up to all 12 chakras, Mount Shasta has ley lines. Think of it almost like a starburst, right? Beams that go out to all the other chakras around the world. And so even though I'm living about an hour north of the mountain, I always ground right onto the mountain's ley lines. So you can do that even wherever you live, because it literally has bursted out all over the world. And it's helping ground the new earth timeline all around the world, right? We're anchoring it onto the Mount Shasta portal ley lines, if that makes sense. So that's why it's such a powerful point. It's a cross point on the grid that's so powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, I shared a story about being there, and I was with a friend, and the physical adjustment that she went through was just amazing to witness. And it's just so magical, all of it. So it's going to be really fun. Now, it's interesting you were saying that we're weaving the best of everything. I'm actually here in Costa Rica, and I'm feeling the need to stay anchored here and feeling the Lemurian energies. I'm on the Pacific side, but oh my gosh, also the Atlantean energies. And it feels like weaving both of all the good stuff from all of it. Because there's still a little bit of guilt that my being carries about the fall of Lemuria and the remembrance in Atlantis, being Lemurian in Atlantis. I remember that.
Interesting. I had to clear quite a bit of guilt from the Lemurian timeline as well, because I was, my soul is part of the group, we call them the 12 tribes. It's like the star systems that have been joining and creating these different civilizations, and also even creating just the human race, the human genetics, like the 12 tribes. And so I kept popping into this conference room, but it was fascinating because it was inside a crystal pyramid that was hovering over a lake. So it was again that portal geometry of a triangle within a circle. This is part of Metatron's cube. It's part of the Sirian mystery schools. It's so prevalent, and it's part of the Merkaba Taurus. Like, you're going to see this everywhere. It's such a powerful gateway, sacred geometry, and I kept getting pulled into it. And it was the 12 tribes, and we were actually being petitioned by the Orion ETs, the reptilian race, to create a hybrid human reptilian coding so that they could actually evolve their heart centers. I thought, well, who's going to turn down a race that wants to evolve their heart centers? And so it was granted, and they were given some of the crystal code genetics of the humans to create this hybridization to try to open and activate more of a heart center. Now, of course, in hindsight, we see that was actually manipulated and to our detriment. And so I've had to go back in time. This is, I think, why that one kept popping up on my radar. I had to go back into that Lemurian time, and with, of course, all the hindsight we have now and all the knowledge we have now to reverse that. And that's one of the powers of working in the quantum vortex, is we can go back in time and self-correct and fix what mistakes we have done. So I think that's part of what's happening right now is, okay, we learned where we really screwed up in Atlantis. Okay, we learned where we, messed up in Lemuria. We're much wiser, older, and more enlightened, I guess. And of course, we'll probably make mistakes going forward too, but at least we can apply what we know now and our collaboration with the 12 tribes, with the cosmic family of light, and see if we can create a really beautiful planetary system for this evolving human race. So I think that's part of being the weaver, right? Is kind of cherry picking what we want to enhance here, and also decompose and remove what is really this top down corrupted power structure as well.
Thank you. That you do incredible work with your activations. They are so very special and they're very potent. And we have people all over the world joining in those. And that just is so heartwarming when we think of it, because we're doing it. It really is very special. Yeah. Well, thank you for the light work that you do, the dedication that you do. It is really incredible. As we wrap up our conversation, I wanted to circle back and just have you share anything else you remember about your Lemurian timeline. Is there anything else that comes to mind, like what life was like? What did you do? Any memories to share?
Well, it was different. They're very different than Atlantis, because Atlantis to me felt more cerebral and masculine, and Lemuria to me is getting into the powerful kind of 0 point field of Mother Nature. So it feels very different. Their energies are, and maybe that's why we're weaving the two, to really get a balance there of, kind of the intelligence, the electrical, the masculine with the magnetic, the heart, the feminine. That's more of the Lemuria. So when I was popping in and checking out Lemuria, it was very much a harmonious civilization. It was telepathic. It was in unity consciousness, because it was all about being in that harmony with the entire environment, with each other and in the entire environment. So it was quite holistic in how it operated. It was not a top-down structure at all. To me, this is what we're trying to build here, is this circular collaborative system that was operating in Lemuria, and quite successfully for a long time. But then we had the ET Orion Wars, and we had the invasions, and we had the fallen consciousness come in. So these civilizations didn't make it. they were deluged. And also too, it's kind of similar to what we're seeing now, quite a bit of climate disruption happening where, Mount Shasta is a volcano. And so it began to explode, and it started sinking, like all the oceans, were rising. So it's kind of similar to what we're seeing now, as far as the shift in consciousness and the shift from, in a way, kind of one system. If you kind of want to use your operating system type of languaging, we're leaving one operating system and we're activating a new operating system. And it's, to me, Lemuria was more dominant feminine, and I think now we really are creating the balance of the masculine and feminine. This has to be a unification and balance and harmony of these aspects of nature now. But when I go into the new earth, I see a lot of similarity to Lemuria, and just kind of that lush Garden of Eden energy, right? It's just glorious. And when you get on the mountain and you get into, especially like now in spring into early summer, it's all green and lush and beautiful. And you really, and that I was so, I mean, I'm a city girl, and I was in awe of seeing all the wildlife on that mountain, and they look really healthy, you know, healthy coats on the deer and the bears, and I saw a lot that I was like, whoa, but they're there and they're part of the field, you know, that the nature spirits, the nature kingdom, it's part of the field as well. So it's just a vibe. You walk into, you know, that 0 point field, and it's just pulsing with pure creation. It's very vibrant. And that's what I would see when I would pop into Lemuria. I also would see quite a bit of the advanced technology they're using, the crystalline technology they're using, and how it was in a way kind of mimicking the Sirian civilizations. There definitely is a blueprint there was passed into Lemuria from Sirius, but quite an extraordinary like holographic memory that's here that we can tune into and begin to turn on and activate and spread all around the world.
And that's what makes me want to cry with joy, because there's so many that are feeling that call, and we're doing it, and it's so beautiful. So then the dolphins and the whales, they're from Sirius as well. So they're all connected, and we can make that connection to that timeline, and we understand them even more and how they're here to support us. So we are birthing new Earth. We are grounding new Earth, and it's a frequency. Yes. Wow. We are excited, Meg. So we invite all of those watching and listening, if you feel the heart call, come on out to Mount Shasta. You can make your journey there. You can meet Meg and all the other presenters, or you can join us by live stream. That too will be a very, very special gathering online and a heart connection with everyone. So Meg, thank you so much for being here and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always exciting to dive into this amazing reality we're creating. So thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you too for watching, and we hope to see you in Mount Shasta. Thank you.